They have the HBO documentary coming out. I'm really not into that. We start getting into the meat and potatoes. This is probably not in the order that the matches are in, but I'll start with Daniel Bryan and Shane versus Owens and Sami Zayn. This is very intriguing. And am I a fan of seeing Shane McMahon in the ring again? No, I'm not. I would have much rather wanted to see Shane McMahon, the way he got beaten down, not be able to compete. And then you have Bryan pick somebody. If Owens and Zayn win, they'll be rehired to SmackDown. Now, they can do this two ways, obviously. They can have Owens and Zayn lose, where they'll still be fired from SmackDown, but you have the draft coming up and they'll be drafted to Raw. Or you can have Owens and Zayn win with a blunder from either Bryan or Shane, or Bryan or Shane turn on one another, setting up a Bryan-Shane match at a later pay-per-view. Which I can really see that, because remember, you had the tension between Bryan and Shane all over this Owens and Zayn thing not too long ago. So it wouldn't shock me if Bryan ended up turning heel or Shane ended up turning heel and we got a feud between Shane and Daniel Bryan. And I think Daniel Bryan would be a little bit safer to have his first real feud and singles match with someone like Shane McMahon. I think that's a safe bet for Bryan. You don't throw him in the ring to be sitting there against someone like Baron Corbin or Samoa Joe. And I'm not going to sit here and give you spoilers and predictions or what I know or this and that. I don't know. What the hell do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just a guy sitting here behind a microphone talking wrestling and hoping for a great, great WrestleMania on Sunday. I'm telling you what I think could happen. So that's one tag team match. Then you'll have Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. I don't think that there's any way that they have Ronda Rousey lose this match. I really don't. I think Ronda's going to get Stephanie, and I think she's going to get her really, really good. And there's going to be this payoff, because since Ronda has come back, yes, we know what Ronda did to Stephanie a couple of years ago at WrestleMania, but now you're going to get the payoff. She's going to beat the ever-fucking hell out of Stephanie. She's just going to beat the crap out of her. And I think that's going to be the big payoff. I'm not looking forward to seeing Kurt in the ring. I've said that numerous occasions. I think he's one of the best ever. Top 5 wrestlers of all time. But he can't move. He can't, not that he can't move, but he cannot stand. And I feel that every time he walks in the ring, it's a liability, and I think he's going to get hurt. The Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. I guess they didn't really have any faith in the Usos versus the New Day, which they had to put the Bludgeon Brothers in there. I really don't understand that. To me, it made no sense. And I like Harper and Rowan, I really do. But you couldn't have maybe had them in a number 1 contenders match to face the champion, and maybe had 4 matches on the kickoff show, and that being one of them. To me, it takes away from what the Usos and the New Day have done. I know they've wrestled each other 1,000 times, and maybe it's, we're going to put something new here. We're going to add a new ingredient, and we're going to put the Bludgeon Brothers in. But to me, I think it just takes away from what would be a classic. The Usos are more fired up than ever. They're doing their best work that I've ever seen them do. And the New Day, listen, they are the New Day. They just are fucking incredible. They started off as a comedy gimmick, but they are they have rapidly become one of the best exciting tag teams that the company has to offer. And I was looking forward to an Usos versus New Day 2-on-2. Now we have the Bludgeon Brothers, which I don't think is terrible. And it adds some intrigue. It's a triple threat tag team match. But we'll see how it goes. I think the Usos retain. I think they're red hot, and I think they have to retain. I think that's something that has to happen, that they have to retain. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Strowman and TBD. And no, TBD is not a person. That's not the next person that's coming up. You know, I've heard some weird possible tag partners for Strowman. I've heard Rey Mysterio. What is this whole thing that everyone is so high up on Rey Mysterio now? Rey Mysterio is going to fight John Cena. Rey Mysterio is going to do this at WrestleMania. Rey Mysterio is going to do that. Why? Why? And I'm not shitting on Rey here, but what is the fascination here? Really? And there's no way that Rey Mysterio is going to be Braun Strowman's partner. Come on. Another one I heard was Mark Henry. No. Mark Henry's done. So take Mysterio out and take Mark Henry out. Big Cass, he's a possibility. Big Cass is someone that I think will be on the card, whether he returns and shows up at the Battle Royal or he comes back to be Strowman's partner. He will, I can feel it. I can feel a Big Cass return on Sunday. Now, someone that's also not doing anything is Bray Wyatt. This is something that also is intriguing. He doesn't have anything going on. He's not in a match at WrestleMania. He is literally free. He doesn't have a dance partner. Why not give him one? That would be something that would be intriguing, would be Bray Wyatt. Samoa Joe is another one. Someone that's been out of action, and it's also like, oh, wow, damn. It's not someone that's been on the card. Big Cass and Samoa Joe would be huge, huge surprises. You could also go that he does nobody. That he doesn't go in with a partner. They've been really harping on this whole thing that he needs to have a partner. He must have a partner if he's to challenge for the title. But the stipulations that they make, they really rarely follow them. And they also want you to forget sometimes what they say. So I could see Strowman coming out and really just not having a partner. And just going at it himself. Another person that we could see is the Big Show. If they were to win the titles, the Big Stro would be a really good tag team name. But I don't think that's going to happen. At least I hope not. And this is no disrespect to Big Show, but I would like to see either Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, or Big Cass as Braun Strowman's partners. Dean Ambrose is another one. Maybe out of nowhere he goes with a lunatic, but I don't think that makes much sense, and it's unlikely. But who knows? Never say never with the WWE. Never say never with anything that they do, ever. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. I think this is a match that everyone's saying, oh, Asuka's going to win. This is going to be Asuka's moment. I wouldn't be so sure. I think Charlotte should win here. I think you don't want to go too long with this streak where you're going to start having fans resent Asuka. You know, they start resenting people that win a lot. And that's with everything. That's with sports. That's with real sports. That's with politics. That's with life. People are very jealous of people that are successful, and they start to resent them. I think now is the perfect time for Asuka to lose. On the grandest stage in Raw, Charlotte retains the title, and she starts going back to heel Charlotte and kind of gets that thing going that she's lost since she went to SmackDown. And she was a real top-notch, grade A bitch, and it worked on Raw. Hasn't been the case on SmackDown. She's been soft. I think beating Asuka and maybe beating her by, I'm not saying dirty, but something not so clean, and she goes back to being a heel, I think that will work. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. Do they put the championship on Nia Jax? I would love to see that happen, but I don't know. I mean, the thing that used to happen at WrestleMania, used to really happen, was that titles would automatically change at WrestleMania. They would automatically change. In the last couple of years, we've seen that that's not the case, that some champions retain their title. But either way, I think it makes sense if Alexa would retain, set up another match with Nia, or vice versa, if Nia would win. Orton, Bobby Roode versus Jinder. Orton versus Roode versus Jinder versus Rusev. Which is funny because I thought it'd be Orton versus Roode. Then they got Jinder involved. Then I think because of the success and popularity of Rusev, they added Rusev to the match. I honestly don't know who would win. I don't think Rusev will win. I don't think Jinder. I think it's between Orton and it's between Roode. And, do you give Roode his first WrestleMania moment winning the title back, or do you have Orton cement his legacy with another WrestleMania win? It'll be interesting to see. The Miz versus Rollins versus Balor, that should be a good match. I think The Miz should retain. The Miz is one of the hottest items out there. Is a top-notch heel. Is a great champion. I think The Miz should retain. Then you have Styles versus Nakamura. And Lesnar versus Reigns. I think they'll switch titles on both ends. I think Nakamura will beat Styles in a classic that should get time. That match should not get 12 minutes. I'm sorry. Shouldn't get 15. That should get a solid 25 minutes. At least 20. Anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes that match should get. If it gets anything less, it's just an absolute waste of time. But I think Nakamura will take the gold. And Lesnar and Reigns, well, we know what's going to happen. Roman Reigns will win. Roman Reigns will walk out the champion. And this whole thing with Dana White saying Brock Lesnar will come back, how will that affect how the match goes on? I don't think the match should go on last. Because you're going to have people boo Reigns. 100% you're going to have people boo Reigns. Then you're going to have people boo Lesnar for apparently leaving to go to the UFC. So it has Goldberg, Lesnar, WrestleMania 20 written all over it. The only problem is this is for your Universal Championship and you're putting it in the main event. And it's in a much, much bigger venue. So I don't think it should close out the show because of that reason. You don't want a boo fest and the fans just rioting the show and not into it and just booing straight through for your title match to close out WrestleMania. That's not what you want. So Vince and crew have to really think of what they want here. Because you don't want to tarnish the brand. You don't want your WrestleMania 34 main event to be a fucking clusterfuck where everybody's booing from the get-go. Like they ring the bell for the ring announcers to start announcing the names and they start fucking booing. That should not, and that will happen. So let's be smart here. And again, there's going to be no match with Cena and Taker. It'll be a confrontation. So it should be a good card. It should be a fun card. I'm looking forward to it as a wrestling fan. We'll definitely see some new champs. I think you'll see some champions retain, obviously. Brilliant analysis, I know. But sit back, enjoy it, and don't worry about predicting anything or fucking doing this or doing that. Just sit back and enjoy it. You know, I learned that a long time ago when I used to be on WSIA, and I used to predict the fucking pay-per-views. Don't do that. It stresses you the fuck out. And then, you know, you go and predict 12 matches, and you get 10 out of 12 wrong, or all fucking 12, or 11 or 9. Just don't do it. It saves you the fucking trouble. Don't put out predictions. Don't think, oh, this one's going to win. No. The only thing that I'm willing to put my fucking life on, my life, I'm willing to bet my life that Reigns walks out the champion, that Angle and Rousey walk out victorious, and that Cena and Taker will not have a match at WrestleMania. I'm willing to bet my life on those 3 instances.